Peace. Back with another broadcast of The Truth is in the Books of God. And the idea is to find the truth of God from His books rather than hearsay and our thoughts and what we think and what we see and what we can prove by experimentation and hypothesis and theories and theology and philosophy and all this garbage. Absolute garbage. The truth is fundamentally in the books of God, and the actual truth is in the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran today. There are other books of God which you can find with the Hindus and the Buddhists and other sects on the earth, but the actual real path to the truth is through these books, and the Quran being the absolute truth, the unambiguous, uh, undoubtable, unfalsifiable, and correct truth with everything that we need to know to exist in this life, to live and die. So now I'm going to talk about Moses further. It's going to take a few sessions to go through Moses. I did an overview last time, and today I want to go a little deeper into more detailed stuff. So I'm going to start with when Moses was born, what happened. So as we discussed, Moses was born in and around Cairo, Egypt, in Egypt, where the pyramids are, around that area where the Pharaoh used to rule in those days and had enslaved the sons of Israel from after Joseph when they fell to folly and astraness like all of mankind does every time, including today, which they are in the biggest folly and falsehood that can ever be imagined today on the earth. But they seem to think they are absolute fantastic beings, being evolved to a level of higher existence, spirituality, becoming God themselves. These people are. Soon they will know who actually is God. Anyway, let's start with this. So, here, when Moses spoke the first time to God, God told him this about his beginnings, which obviously part of the proof that Moses would have like not required but would have wanted, that if God speaking me through the fire, then he must know everything about me. And yeah, basically he did, and he's telling him some of the stuff that happened. So when this is God telling Moses what happened. Behold, we inspired to your mother what it inspired, that put him in the ark, but put it in the water, but it will throw him the water with the shore. He will grab him, enemy to me and enemy to him. And I threw over you love from me, and to your growing over my eyes. So this basically God is telling Moses that he inspired to his mother to put him in the ark and throw him in the water, and the water will put him to the side, and then the enemy will grab him. Guess who this is? Obviously Pharaoh, who is enemy to God and to Moses, obviously here. And then he threw over him love from him to his growing over his eyes. Behold, she walked, your sister, but she said, should I tell you over those, they will take care of him. So we returned you to your mother. So she cool her eyes and not she grieve. And you killed a soul, but we saved you from the confusion, and we tried you trying. So you tarried years in keepers of Midian. Then you came over measure, O Moses, and I make you aware to my soul. So Moses was made aware to God's soul. He's the only messenger that I know of in existence from the beginning of this creation of mankind to today and the end that was made aware to God's soul. I mean, he used to speak to him continuously. And people have all sorts of stories: how, when, where, what would happen. We don't know. I mean, have you talked to God in your soul? Has he spoken to you in your soul? And you might be thinking, yeah, God has spoken to me in my soul. Yeah, are you sure it's God? And what is he telling you to do? Is it going with or against the books of God? And oh, do you know the books of God? Oh, I guess not. So you have no idea. So God does inspire to all of us. He inspires to everyone in different ways. And the ones that are astray are also being inspired by God, but through the Satan. And that's where the rub is, that when you go astray and you reject God and you turn away from Him, He puts the Satan by your side. And the Satan whispers in your ears and your chests and your minds, and you are thinking that it's God's inspiration. This is a deep subject which right now I'm not willing to get into at the moment. Maybe later when I talk about Satan, the demons, the angels, God, and how inspiration actually works, and the Holy Spirit. So, yeah, I mean, if you're being inspired and you think it's God, you better be sure it's God, because it could be Satan. So, this is one place where, God talks to Moses, and then another place for his what happened at the beginning is in chapter 28, where again the same story is repeated in a different way. So here God says, or the Spirit says, "We read over you from news of Moses and Pharaoh, with the truth to people they believing. Surely Pharaoh high in the earth, and made her keepers sects. He weakened a party from them. He killed their sons, and he let live their women. Surely he was from the warring." So this is Pharaoh. How is he controlling his slaves, his people? By making them into sects and weakening one party and over the other. So one would be fighting the other more or less, and then he killed their sons. So he was killing the sons of Israel for a reason that most likely is that he knew that from the sons of Israel he would get his enemy, which happens to be Moses, and he had no idea, obviously. But like, if you look at this one line, you look on the earth today, that is how you're being controlled. You are being made into sects, into parties, into groups that are defined by your overlords, by your leaders. You're not defining them, you're just choosing them. The sect that God wants you to be in is the sect of Noah, which is the sect of Abraham, which is the sect of the believers. But you have no idea who the believers are, because they really don't exist on the earth today. None of those I witness on the earth today are believers, even though they will shout from the highest mountain that they are not. When I say you're not a believer, and you say I'm not a believer, you tell me that no, you're not a believer, then one of us for sure cannot be a believer. And you can think about that for a while. Maybe both of us aren't, but one of us certainly is not. And we wanted that we favor over those weak in the earth, and we make them leaders, and we make them the inheritors. So God and His Spirit and the angels, that God has decided that He's going to favor those weak, which is the sons of Israel. He's answered their calling. He's coming to complete His promise that He's going to establish them, even though they're a bunch of fools and they're not following God's message, and they've been enslaved by virtue of their falsification of God's commands, and they're disobeying His messengers. But He will still, because that's when God decides, okay, that this is going to happen, it's going to happen. No matter what everybody wants. And we established to them in the earth, and we showed Pharaoh and Haman and both their forces from them what they were. They warned. So, I mean, they're basically telling you that this was going to happen, and they were warned, and they were going to be established no matter what Pharaoh and Haman and what they were. They're not going to stop it. And like, now it's going to happen. What's coming is coming. Yeah. And we inspired to mother of Moses that suckle him, but when you fear over him, but throw him in the water, and don't you fear, and don't you grieve. Surely we will return him to you and make him from the messenger. So God inspired this to the mother of Moses. So, Moses was preordained to be a messenger of God when he was born. So, that's it, game over. It doesn't matter what Moses wants, he's going to be the messenger of God. So picked him family of Pharaoh, to his being to them enemy and grief. Surely Pharaoh and Haman and both their forces, they were falterers. And she said, Woman of Pharaoh, coolness of eyes to me and to you, don't you kill him. Maybe that he benefits us, or we take him as son. And they perceived. So God said He threw His love over Moses to his growing. So this is the love He threw, that Pharaoh and his woman could not kill him. The woman of Pharaoh said, He's coolness to our eyes, don't kill him. He'll benefit us, or we take him as son. And they did not perceive. Obviously, this is how God controls us. You have to understand that no matter what, when God throws love or deception or any kind of delusion in front of us and makes us believe that, there's no way out. You cannot get out of it. So I mean, like Pharaoh, knowing this stuff can happen, and it's like, oh, he's one of them. Most likely, he's not the one that's going to be my enemy, but he's going to be their enemy, and he's going to take him into his house. So and became intellect of mother of Moses free, if she was about to be open with him. If not, that we strengthened over her heart to her being from the believers. So Moses, obviously, she threw him away, and then obviously the mother of a child to try taking a child from her mother today, see what happens to her. This is what happened to mother of Moses. So she was going to be like open, go and get him back, but the spirit and God strengthened her, and she so that she be from the believers. And she said to his sister, search him. So she watched with him overside, and they perceived. So obviously, when she threw him in the water, what actually happened was she said, go see what happens to him. So she went and she looked at him, and we forbade over him the suckling from before. So she said, should I tell you, overkeepers of a house? They will take care of him to you, and they to him sincere. So this is the sister of Moses telling Pharaoh and his keepers that, he's not suckling, he's going to die, obviously. So somebody has to suckle him. So God didn't let him suckle over any other woman from any other woman. So she goes and tells him that, I know a house, they're going to take care of her. So we returned him to his mother. So she cooled her eyes, and not she grieve. And to her knowing surely promise of God true, but surely most of them not they know. So God promised her he's going to bring her back, and he's going to make her from the messenger. So this is it. This is what happened. So he goes, gets picked up by Pharaoh and his woman, and they take him as an adopted son. And then in the end, guess who gets to take care of him? His mother again. Oh, this is such a simple example. It's so freaking mundane. No, it isn't. Just think a little of what's going on here. Yeah. This is how God deludes us into doing what he wants us to do. And for our benefit and against us, depending on who we are and what path we have chosen. Pharaoh has chosen the path of destruction and the path of rejection and the path of falsehood. So he will be deluded accordingly. If I choose the right path, the path to God, the path to truth, and strive in that path without belittling God, belittling his books, belittling his messengers, then he will delude me to go to the right path. I'm using the word delusion, but actually he will guide me. So he will guide you astray, or he will guide you to the path, depending on what you are believing and what you want to achieve in life, and what is your big picture of your existence, which is ingrained in your hearts, if you bother to look at your hearts and what your soul is doing. But most hearts are absolutely covered and corrupted and diseased today on the earth, and the souls are lost. They don't even exist. Satan has them. He's having his way with them. So now basically that's what happened with the beginning of Moses, the birth, and this can be read in the Bible and the Torah. I mean, you can get this information from there, but this is exactly what happened. This is how God went about doing his plan of how simply he deludes Pharaoh into keeping him and not killing him, and making him an adopted son, growing in his own house, in his own household, when eventually he was going to be his enemy. And that obviously is what's written in the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah. And when reached his strength and established, we brought him wisdom and knowledge. And like that, we repay the doers of good. And enter the city over the while oblivious from her keepers, but found in her two men, they both fighting, this from his sect, and this from his enemies. But asked him help, the one from his sect, over the one from his enemies. So he hit him, Moses, but finished over him. He said, this from deed of the Satan. Surely he an enemy makes astray clearly. So Moses has killed the guy, and now he knows in his heart and his soul that, oh my God, this is a satanic deed that I've done. He's an enemy, and he's made him astray, obviously. So Moses is having problems here. Then he said, my Lord, surely I wronged my soul, but forgive to me. So forgive to him. Surely he the forgiving, the merciful. So you would say, oh my God has just forgiven him killing a soul? That's impossible. It's possible. Don't worry. He said, my Lord, with what you favor over me, but not I will be backer to the sinner. So now he's forgiven him. How he knows he's forgiven him, I don't ask me. I don't believe God was speaking to him at this level, at this stage in his life. But for some reason, he knows maybe he wasn't caught out. Maybe nobody did anything to him. So he determined that God has forgiven him. So he says, with what you favor over me, but not I will be backer to the sinners. Then, but became in the city fearful. So obviously, when you've killed a soul, you're going to fear in your soul. He came closer. But when the one who asked him help with the day before, he asked him for help, said to him, Moses, surely you to be transgressor clear. So now the next day, he meets up with the same guy and he asks him for help again. And Moses says, hey, you're a transgressor clear. But when that intended that he grasped with the one, he enemy to them both, he said, O Moses, do you want that you kill me like what you killed a soul with the day before? If you want, accept that you be violent in the earth, and not you want that you be from the righteous. So whole story is telling us that Moses killed a guy. God forgave him. When he asked, he said, I'm not going to back the sinners. The next day he goes and he's trying to grab another guy because that same guy helped him. So, this is an indication of, oh, what kind of guy was Moses? No, what kind of people are we? This is not about Moses. This is about all of us. We're all the same. Our faults, and when we commit them, we say, oh, no, I'm not going to do this again. And the next day we do the same thing. Oh, no, I'm not going to do this again. The next day we do the same thing. If you think that this is just a bunch of pack of lies, then look at your lives, what you have done in your lives, all of you. If you listen or you don't listen, I don't care. I'm telling you the truth. If you get to listen, then you will listen and you will look in your soul and you say, man, I'm the same kind of garbage as this. Of course, this is the highest level of committing a crime, killing a soul. And God forgave him for even that. Why would he do that? You can ask God that day. God forgives for anything to anyone he wishes, except that you partner with God or you reject him or you reject the hereafter. For those things, he will not forgive a single soul ever. And then there are some other stuff that you can do, like killing a believer forcefully or killing his messengers. You will never come out of hell for that either. But these three things are cardinal: rejecting God, partnering or making equals with him, or rejecting the hereafter. There is no escape from hell after that. This is absolutely no way to escape hell when you do any one of those things. It's not going to happen. So now what happens after this? And came a man from farness of the city. He's striving. He said, O Moses, surely the chiefs, they're ordering with you to their killing you, but get out. Surely I to you from the sincere. So this is some guy who obviously God put in place, who is sincere to Moses, and tells him, get out. They're going to kill you. So got out from her fearfully from the city. He came closer. He said, My Lord, save me from the people, the wrongdoing. So, and when turned direction of Midian, he said, Maybe my Lord, that he guide me even the path. Now what has happened so far is he's gotten out of there. So we're talking about he was around here, and then now all this stuff happened from his birth to his killing, and now he's left and he's gone to turn to the people of Midian. So he's come from here all the way up to here. That's where he ran off to when he killed the guy and escaped Pharaoh and his people, or the chiefs that were commanding him to be killed. So he came to this lake, which is called Sea of Galilee, or Fluid of Madian, or Mal Madian in Arabic. So this is where he ended up after running away from Pharaoh. So and he comes closer when you look at this aspect of the Quran where it says that he came closer. What is he coming closer to? God. That's what he's coming closer to. He's running away from all of this garbage, and he's understanding what's going on in his soul, and he's asking God to save him from the wrongdoing people. So he's coming closer to God. When you go run to God in your soul, that's when you get closer to God. And when turned direction of Midian, he said, Maybe my Lord, that he guide me even the path. And when turned fluid of Midian, found over it people from the mankind, they slaking, and found from other them 2 women, both keeping away. He said, "What both you're addressing?" They both said, "Not we slake till they divide the rights, and our father old great." So Slake to them both, then turned towards the shade. But he said, "My lord, surely I, to what you send down to me from good, a beggar." So, he's helped them out. He's just, finds them having problems slaking because they were two women and their father is old. And obviously, women are quote unquote weaker. They are, there's no equality between man and woman. Man is different, woman is different. Man has far more strength than a woman has physically, and generally men are higher than women in the creation that God has made us from man. The male is higher than the female in most aspects. You want to put a ruler in everything that is done, and who is better and who is worse, or who is stronger or worse, you can do it yourself. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind. In general, the male is higher creation than the female. That doesn't make a female any less of a believer when she believes, or a male less of a rejecter when he rejects. If they reject, they're both going to hell. It doesn't matter what you do here. It's not the power God gives you and what He creates you. It's what He brings to you and what you do with it in this world, in this existence, which is a farce, a joke that we live on this earth for a while, and then we find out that all that we've done is tantamount to nothing except what we try to believe of the truth. And very few will actually even say that, because most people just believe their lies and are happy with their delusions and deceptions until they die and find reality, and it's too late. So then what happened? So came to him one of them both. She walked over shyness. She said, "Surely my father, he calls you to his repaying you reward what you slake to us." But when came to him and explained over him the explanation, he said, "Don't you fear, you are saved from the people the wrongdoing." So guess what? He asked God, "Save me from the people the wrongdoing." Yeah. Who says you're saved? The guy he met. Of course, he was put in place for this purpose by God. Obviously, there's no other uh, understanding of this in total reality. That's what happened. He's saying you're saved. So he told him. I mean, how he knew what to say, you can keep guessing, so can I. But this is what happened. He's the one who's saying it. That's the answer from God. The guy said, "You're saved." She said, one of them both, "Oh, my father, hold him. Surely good one you hold, the forceful, the secure." He said, "Surely I want that I marry you one of my daughters, brought over that you hold with me 8 contentions. But if you complete 10, but from within you, and not I want that I split over you. Soon you will find me, if wishes God, from the righteous." So this is what the guy said, "I'm going to marry you off one of my daughters." Of course, it's this one. I mean, I'm guessing, this is my understanding. I don't think it can't be anything else. Of course, she wants to marry him. That's why she's telling her father, hold him, and then he says, "Okay." So, I mean, these are like simple stuff, and it's interesting. It's very insightful that you see how actually things work. Yeah. He said, "That between me and between you, whichever what of the two terms I finish, but no enmity over me, and God over what we say disposes." So Moses responds, "Okay, if I finish 8, if I finish 10, no evil over me. I can finish." So which one he finished? People will argue 8, people will argue 10, 9. We don't know. We don't have to know. So when finished Moses the term and traveled with his keepers, sensed from side of the mount fire, he said to his keepers, "Tarry, surely I sense fire. Maybe I will bring you from her with news, or a portion from the fire. Maybe you light." So this is where I'd like to end today. This is where Moses now has born, grown up, killed a guy, left Egypt, run to Madian, married off a woman, and after 8 or 10 contentions, whether it be 8 or 9 years, or 8 or 9 tasks, or 10 tasks, whatever this means, he spent that time, and now he's left with his family, and he sends from the side of the mount the fire. This mount here is Mount Sinai, which I explained to you before. Mount Sinai is in Jerusalem. Next to Jerusalem is Mount Sinai. And let me just reassert that for you, that Mount Sinai is south of here. This is where Madian was. Now he spent all that time here. Now he's coming back down. and he's reached this place. He has reached, let me just find that again for you, where the old house, old city of Jerusalem is. There it is. So, this is the old city of Jerusalem right here. And this is the mount that we're discussing right now. From the side of the mount, is what it was, fire. From side of which side of the mount? It is this, the setting side, the western side of the mount here. This is where Moses' first encounter with God occurred, when he sensed fire from the side and saw the tree which had fire, the tree that we talk about, the side of the mount. And within that tree, God spoke to him. So next time we will speak about what happened here. Yeah, this is key importance in the story of Moses. And then when he goes from here to back to the Pharaoh, and what happens after that. So this is where he came. This is the valley of Tuva, in between the uh, Mount Sinai and the Temple Mount, the old house of God, where the Aqsa Mosque and the rock is. And this is the side of this mount, and this is where Moses has just finished up. So that's where I'd like to end it today. And if wishes God, we will continue with the story of Moses next time, and it'll be what happened when God spoke to him the first time, and what are the angles on that in the Quran, and then what happens after that. So, till next time, peace.